back to my channel. My name is Rachael, for those of you who don't know me, and I talk about fashion, beauty and lifestyle on this channel. Today I'm back with an interesting video, and it's all about content creating. And for those of you who are interested in that world, and I am as well because I'm trying to do it full time eventually, I have a special guest, Asiyami Gold.
Hey!
If you don't know who Asiyami is, she is a content creator, influencer. She has over 300,000 followers on Instagram. She's a photographer, a designer. She is an amazing person, and she is my cousin as well. Yay! My favorite cousin, by the way. So yes, I thought I'd bring her on my YouTube, my channel today, because she has a wealth of knowledge in this field. I know there are girls like me and others maybe like you who are interested in getting into that whole field and want to know like the inside tea or just any like real wisdom to how to grow. So that is what I brought her onto my channel today. So I have a few questions that I'm going to ask her, and yeah, hopefully it's a really good conversation and chit chat, and just gives us all the knowledge that we need going into 2022.
Amen
So,
to
yeah.
that. All right.
So if I'm looking at this, it's because I wrote down some questions. So my first question is, how do you grow a platform in 2022? Especially like let's say for me, like I'm a fashion content creator. How does one grow an authentic following in this day and age where it's so hard to grow?
It is really hard to grow. And I know that the cliche response would be like consistency, because that's what everyone gives.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I gotta think about it. How do you grow a platform?
But this is the real, like, it's real.
Huh?
It's real. This is the real question that people have. Like, they have the passion, they love it, but it's like they feel like the algorithm's against them. Everyone keeps talking about the algorithm. So what is it now? Video content? Like, what is king like in this day trying to grow your platform?
I just think focus on what you enjoy doing. Because for me, I don't think that when I started out, I was worried about the numbers. I just did it because it was something that I truly, truly enjoyed doing, and I really just wanted to get good at it.
Yeah.
So when people notice that, okay, this person, the content you're putting out, it's something that I connect with, it's something that I can relate to, you eventually, it's better to grow slowly. Like they say, slow and steady. It's better to grow slowly than grow overnight, and then people don't really even know why they're following you to begin with, right? So I guess if you really want to grow, especially on Instagram, because that's the platform that I use the most, I would say Reels, because Reels
is king right now.
You can attest to that. Like you said, you grew from 600 to like 3,000. Exactly. So, and just studying what it is about you feel that people respond to, right? So if you go on your page and you see that, oh, well, people respond when it's in a certain, I don't know, type of frame, like I'm close up to the camera, or people respond when I'm traveling, or whatever the case may be. So it's possible that your followers may want to see something very specific from you. Yeah. But the downside to that is that you end up creating for them and not for yourself. So I try to stay away from doing things that I think people would like. I like it, I'm gonna put it out, and if people support what I'm doing, then I think that's okay. I think eventually, I think
it's just accepting the journey, and for me that it will be slow and you have to enjoy it, especially if you're looking for growth. Like, it might not be, you might see other people who overnight take off really quickly, you know, that's good for them, but that might not be your journey.
And to be honest, overnight success it's not where it's at, because everything has to be tested. It has to be tested and proven, so that takes time. You're not gonna do things overnight. It just doesn't make sense. You have to actually like
go through the process,
ease into it, and be committed to the process, right? Like if you're not committed to the process, then you're just doing it because, oh, I've seen that influencers are, I see that influencers are successful. I see people are making money. I see they get free content, or not free content, but free products from brands, and oh, I want that too. But you don't know what that person had to go through to build your following, right? Like, it takes time, and if you're not willing to go through the process of becoming what you desire to be, then I don't think don't do it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. Like, just even doing it for myself, like, just over a year. Like I've said before, like I just reached 1,000 subscribers, which I'm grateful for, because this is now monetizing.
Slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race.
I was looking at my YouTube, like my content, and I have almost 100 videos. 100 videos.
Commitment.
So like it's commitment, even without seeing the results. And I feel like you genuinely have to love it, because that's what's keeping me. You know, you genuinely have to 100 videos, editing, recording. Like, do you know what I mean? Some people, I'm not even going to compare to other people, but yeah, it's just commitment. So generally ask yourself, do you love this? Are you willing to do this, let's say, for 5 years and not really see much gain? Like, that's the real, and I feel like eventually your turn will come. So yeah.
Everyone has their season, you know, and like you said, your turn will come. But while it's still slow, just keep going. I think sometimes people give up because they don't see the results that they want to see. And, you know, you can't be committed to the results. You should be committed to the process.
It's like a tree. When you plant the seeds, you don't see it sprout for ages, but the roots are being
Well, you have to keep watering it too, right? The watering is learning and studying what you love. I love this. I want to get better at it. I want to continue growing with this. So I'm going to look at other people who are aligned with what I want to be and see what they're doing and practice those things behind the scenes. Like, oh, this lady, she makes videos this way. What kind of lens is she using? What kind of camera? Like, what lighting is she using? Just different questions you ask yourself so that you also can understand what you're trying to build and the voice you're trying to create through your visual narrative, right? So anyway, it takes time.
Next question is, so now you're maybe a micro influencer like me, and you want to start reaching out to brands because you know it's possible. I see people with as little as 1,000 followers working with brands. So how does someone like me or other people reach out to brands they may be interested in? Is it smart to go to big brands, or should we try little brands? And how do we like negotiate and like show our value and our worth to like brands?
Well, one, what I do, which I guess it would be different for me, I DM a lot of people, because you also have access to people on different brands on Instagram, or you can also look for them on LinkedIn. Do you have LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn.
Okay, look for them on LinkedIn, look for whoever is in charge of like their creative department and write them and just say, hey, I genuinely love your brand. I may not be where, you know, you might want the influencers you work with to be, but I really love your product and I can create X amount of content for you, and if you like it, hopefully you can bring me on as an ambassador. Right? Because I think that the thing is, people tend to believe that if you have a lot of following, more brands want to work with you because you have following. But I think a lot of brands also pay attention to the quality of the content that you're creating, right? Like, no one is going to invest or give their products to someone who, I mean, you're not aligned with the vision for the brand, right? So you like, and then another thing too, there's product placement, and I think people don't pay attention to this enough. Some people, if they really like a brand, before you start working with the brand, before you reach out to the brand, place their products in your home, place their products in your feed, so they see that consistency, like, oh wow, she really actually likes Fendi. Okay, she really wears our products a lot. So automatically it looks like it actually fits into your lifestyle, right? It's not something that, you know, it feels forced and it's just not genuine. And when they see that, they see the kind of content that you're creating with them, and also be very strategic about tagging them. Like, okay, I don't know, what bracelet is this?
I want to be Cartier.
Okay, you have this Cartier bracelet. We gonna say it's Cartier, okay? You have the Cartier. You have the Cardi B. You have the Cartier bracelet, and you take beautiful images of this thing, and you put it on your feed so people actually see that, oh wow, like she's always wearing this bracelet all the time. Like when she takes her fashion post, we see this bracelet that we love, And sometimes brands are paying attention to the interactions on your feed.
Yeah.
What are people saying about what you're wearing? Are people asking you, oh, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
And when they see that people are responsive to you, even as a micro influencer, they don't mind paying for work, you know? So you just have to be strategic in the beginning. These are the brands I want to work with. Write it down. For me, for the longest time, I remember when I first started, it was J. Crew, right? So, okay, I know that J. Crew is all about the classics. J. Crew likes, you know, very clean and minimal aesthetics. So I tried to position myself in a way that, you know, when J. Crew was looking for someone to work with, they would easily say, okay, we like her stuff. We like her content. So we know that if she's going to produce content or produce work for us, it's not something that wouldn't fit into like our brand narrative or our brand identity. You know, so you have to be strategic about building an identity that aligns with the brands that you want to work with.
That's important, because sometimes you can get lost in creating your own content and you forget you actually do want to work with brands. So definitely tagging, that's something I started doing, tagging, like if I talk about perfuming, or if you don't know my channel and on my Instagram. So
she just put me onto Kayali.
So literally I always tag, now anything I show like my audience or my stories, I tag the brands. Even if the brands don't see, I just tag it. I'm just going to get into the
And that's the thing, we don't know who sees it and who's not seeing it, you know? So I think sometimes, you know, people actually see what we do, they're just not going to respond. They're probably waiting for the right time to respond.
They might keep their eye on you, you never know, until maybe you're at that, maybe a bit more engagement, a bit more following, and then at the right time, you never know, they'll come to you.
It's tested and proven over time, you know?
That's the next question I was going to move on to, in terms of like value and pricing yourself. Because we were having a conversation the other day about sometimes as content creators, we just see ourselves as just that, but we wear many hats. And so until Asi was telling me like the different hats we actually wear while creating content, I was like, oh my gosh, that blew my mind. It's like, then it makes us realize actually we need to price differently, because we wear, you get that example of like a photo shoot, a brand was working, let's say, doing a magazine, they would have so many people on set. So we need to think about, we wear all those hats when creating that same type of content, you know? So pricing ourselves, what are the things we need to really take into consideration? Obviously our following engagement, but there's actual work that we put in regardless of the following.
I first started out, my first campaign was with Gap, and at the time I remember a friend of mine telling me in New York, he said to me, Asi, you know you can make $10,000 from a gig like this, right? And it was just so bizarre to me that brands were willing to pay that much for one photo or one campaign. And I didn't understand. That's why I said, over time, through the process, you learn your value and you actually learn what you bring to the table, right? This is why the brands are reaching out to us. They're not reaching out to you because, you know, they don't have in-house photographers. They're reaching out to you because you have access to a certain amount of people that they would never reach, right? They're reaching out to you because they're also cutting costs by working with you. So it took working with, I did a photo shoot for Coach. This was in 2016, and this was like the very first big, huge paid gig that I did. And on set, on the sheet, the call sheet, a call sheet is something that it's usually a PDF file that has the name of everyone who's on set. So you have your producer, you have your photographer, you have your light assistant, your lighting person, literally a long list of people who are on set to create one image. Just one. And think about it, the budget for something like that is probably close to $100,000+, right? But then a brand will come to you and offer you $5,000. And if you're not aware and conscious of the fact that, oh wow, I actually bring value to the table by wearing all these hats in one person, that $5,000 sounds like a lot of money, right? Like, oh my gosh, $5,000.
I know.
I have reached. I'm all right, right? But you know, when you understand that in one person, I am a photographer.
Yeah.
In one person, I am a creative director.
Yeah.
In one person, I am going to source locations and scout locations.
Yeah.
In one person, I am prop styling. In one person, I'm my makeup artist. I'm my hairstylist. I'm my prop stylist.
You are the model.
Like, I'm the model. Name it, everything I'm doing.
And you bring the audience as well.
And I'm bringing the audience. And you want to give me 5. You know, then it doesn't qualify. Like, it doesn't quantify. It's not matching, right? It's not equivalent to the work and the value that you bring.
Yeah.
So when you understand this, it helps you price yourself better, right? A little bit higher. And you can tell them, and sometimes what I did in the past, I would break things down to them and say, hey, photography costs this much, prop styling costs this much, this costs this much, this costs that much. And then at the end of it, you summarize and you tell them, like, you know, this is what it costs to produce what you're asking for.
Yeah.
And they're not going to come back and say, well, we don't need this, because they all work hand in hand. You can't have one without the other, unless you're just looking for somebody to hold a bottle, right? And that's why it's important to, once again, strive lawfully. You have to learn the craft. You have to master the craft, right? Like, brands aren't coming to you to just hold a bottle.
That's what some people do.
Yeah, I mean, some people can do that because who cares? People just love your face, whatever. But, you know, brands are coming to you so you can use your lifestyle to sell their products. People are coming to Rachael because we love the fact that Rachael knows how to she embodies what, I'm sorry. But we love Rachael because Rachael embodies what a woman, the lifestyle of a woman, what she should be, how she should dress, how she should smell. So we trust that if Rachael is telling us to wear Vanilla by Kayali, we know that it's tested in her life and it's true, right? And so we are adherent to her word and we believe her, right? And that is what you're paying for. You're paying for you. Also, at the end of it, you're paying for your word. You're paying because people trust you. And that's something you build over time, right? And that's why it's also important to have organic followers, right? Because then if you're growing overnight, people don't know why they follow you. So when you start doing Kayali campaigns or you're doing a Dior campaign, people are like, well, why are we here? You understand? So you, in one person, you're like 20 different people, right? Like right now we're on set, we have a lighting behind us or behind the camera. And last night we had to set up the background. Like, these are little things that go into creating content that we tend to overlook because for us, we enjoy it. We enjoy making things look pretty. So of course, whatever, we don't price those things. Because to us, it's part of who we are. But when you see these things being produced at a larger scale, you understand that, wow, like in one person, I'm so many different things that I'm not charging for. So just be conscious and be aware of that. And don't take yourself for granted, basically.
I love that. So my next question, Asi, is, okay, you want to start doing content creating, you have a genuine passion, like you've loved it forever, but now you want to showcase it to the world. What should you start out with equipment-wise? Like, should you buy all the fancy gadgets? Do you need that in this day and age? Like, what is best for someone who has maybe a low budget or doesn't really have anything at all?
There's a quote that says the best camera you have is the one you have with you at the moment. So I always tell people that you use what you have, right? Don't go thinking that, oh, in order for people to support my work and for people to like what I'm doing, I have to have a Canon 5DS or Canon Mark IV.
Yeah.
Because back when I started, those were the two cameras that were like popping.
Yeah.
Right? But I had an iPhone 5. And if this is going to be encouraging to anyone, the very first campaign I shot on Instagram for Gap was shot with an iPhone 5, and my images ended up on the front cover of the magazine. And I remember telling the brand, I said, listen, I'm not, and that's also where the imposter syndrome kicks in, right?
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh my God, I'm not even a photographer.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not even qualified for what you're asking me to do.
Yeah.
And the lady gave me confidence by simply saying, hey, what you've done and what we've seen on your in-feed is enough.
Yeah.
So if you're producing that quality of content with an iPhone 5,
yeah,
we're okay with you using an iPhone 5.
Wow.
You know?
That's encouraging to me,
yeah.
and like, because you see people with all their fancy edits these days, and like, I can't even edit and buy myself another photographer, but it's like,
you don't
you
have
don't have to have
a husband photographer.
You know, nothing that's, but
yeah.
you have enough, like what you have is enough.
Exactly. Like it says, people perish for lack of knowledge. Know what you have. Understand, I have an iPhone. I enjoy shooting with my iPhone. I understand how to expose my lighting. I understand how to focus and, you know, give my background a bouquet if I want to. I understand how to make the tool that I have work for me.
Yeah.
And it takes time. It takes time to actually study these things. Over time, you just look like, okay, iPhone, well, let me take a picture of this. You have to get to know your tools. And sometimes those tools actually do better than the ones that you think, you know, people are using.
Yeah.
So it's all about understanding, getting an understanding of what you already have and making it work for you for that time being. And, you know, if you get to a point where you're like, okay, now I want the quality of my things to be better. I want, because to be honest, you don't really need a full frame camera unless you're trying to create editorials, right? Unless you're trying to get your images in vogue, unless you're trying to shoot different landscapes when you travel, and you need something with, you know, a little bit more dynamic range. You don't need that. If you're just creating content at home, your iPhone is your best friend. I would invest in an iPhone because the quality of an iPhone, it's great for the images that you use on Instagram. It's 10 megapixels, and I don't know if it's 12 now with the iPhone 13, but it's gotten so good that you really can just use that and be okay. Yeah. You know, you don't.
I agree.
Yeah.
I shoot everything on iPhone.
Yeah, she shoots and her pictures are amazing.
The other day, we took some pictures, and I was so surprised she was using my phone because they came out.
She's
I
like,
still didn't learn.
is this the same phone?
Honestly, so you'd be surprised the content you can create with what you have. And moving on to like what you have, people like me, I know there must be others who are not savvy with Photoshop when it comes to editing photos. I don't know how to use it, not interested right now, but I do use some apps. So what good user-friendly apps are there to like edit pictures? So, you know, sometimes you want to edit your picture. So what good user-friendly apps?
I've been using VSCO. Some people call it Visco, but I've been using VSCO since, Lord Jesus, since 2012.
Wow.
And it's a great app, and it's really advanced over time because now you can also sort of like Photoshop your skin on it as well. So there's VSCO, there's Snapseed for people who want to like take out things from their background, like heal. And then there's Facetune if you want to clean up some things, and all the things you do on Photoshop, you basically can do on Facetune. Those are like my top 3 go-to. But also, another thing that I do is when I'm about to post on Instagram, and a lot of people don't know this, when you're about to post on Instagram, what Instagram does is that it reduces the quality of your images. So before I post, I may or may not adjust like the lighting, the contrast. But one thing that is for sure that I always do, I always bump up my sharpen, just the clarity just a little bit before posting. That way it sort of retains the quality.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. You can't, because sometimes you post a picture and you're like, why does it look so blurry?
Yeah.
You know? So just bumping up the sharpen just a little bit and then posting.
It's a free tip, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Pay me. But also, I think one of the questions people also ask me is, how do you keep your feed cohesive?
Yeah.
Right? For people who, I don't know, they just want a, monochromatic feed.
Yeah.
And they want things to sort of look the same and you want it to be appealing. Because you have to understand that when someone comes to your page, also tying back to how to build followers, the first thing they see are the first 9 images on your feed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what are those images giving off?
Yeah. Right?
Is it something that I look at and instantly I'm like, oh my God, I want to follow Rachael because, you know, this is who I aspire to be.
Yeah.
You always have to be mindful of that.
Yeah.
You don't just post content just to post just because you're like, oh, I have to post something because I'm being consistent. Make sure that every image you post is something that you really can like stand behind and something that you're truly proud of, right? And of course your work is going to improve over time, but let your last work still be a reflection of where you're headed.
Yeah.
So Rachael, I remembered like, when was it? I think it was 2 years ago after you came, you're like, oh, edit this picture. And I'm like, this is how you do it. And I sent a screen recording showing her just so that you now understand, one, you have to understand like, what am I drawn to? Yeah. When I go to people's pages, do I like the fact that her vibe is warm? When I'm here, I feel welcome, or she's giving me minimal vibes. It's all white. It's cool, it's very clean, minimalistic, and she's given, you know, chic, fashion, street style vibes or whatever. To maintain that aesthetic, you have to know what filters and sometimes presets, what works for this image, right? So there are multiple things that affect the way your images turn out. The lighting, obviously, that's a big deal. And what you're wearing, because you can't come on just wear anything and expect it to photograph nicely. There's so many variables that affect like how your images turn out. And for me, lighting is one of the biggest ones, right? So when you're shooting, today it's moody outside, it's raining outside. So I understand that when I take these images, my images are going to have like a very moody aesthetic. It's not going to look like it's sunny outside, right? So for me, how do I maintain that balance between a sunny day and, you know, a day when it's raining? And you do that by applying presets, but also applying the right amount. You don't, you know, over edit, but you keep, I like warm tone photos. I like when my pictures feel sort of like ethereal and heavenly. So when I'm editing my photos, I try to maintain just the same, you know, feel, the same vibe, the same energy in all the images that I'm putting out. So, you know, if your stuff is A6, I think for you on Visco, you would use A6, you use S2. Those are the type of filters that, you know, help with that clean aesthetic that you like. So just know what you are, know what you like. Once again, it goes back to understanding yourself, know what you like, and once you understand what you like, you're able to apply these things through your work, right? That way, when people see something that's from you, automatically they're like, oh, this is Rachael, even without your face being on it, right? They know that you've solidified your identity. You've solidified something that people see and instantly just by looking at it, they know it's you.
Yeah.
You know, it's important to build that kind of recognition with your work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think in this day and age that people should stick to just, let's say, when you're a fashion content creator, and obviously Instagram is like the obvious platform, should we just stick to Instagram now, or should we utilize the various platforms like TikTok, Pinterest? Like, what should we do in this day and age to really get ourselves out there as a content creator? If you say you're passionate about it, or should we start even like a blog? Like, what should someone starting out venture into apart from Instagram?
I would say do what works for you. Don't overwhelm yourself.
Yeah.
Because keeping up with all these platforms can be inundating. So start with the basics. Start with where you know you're going to be paid for your content eventually, right? Yeah. I think YouTube is a phenomenal platform, and I wish I actually started or use my YouTube a bit more. I'm gonna start next year.
She does have a YouTube channel. Put it right here.
But yeah. So YouTube is great. Instagram is great. TikTok, I know brands are also starting to pay for TikTok as well. Yeah. Pinterest is another good one that brands also pay for. You know. Once again, what does this all mean to you at the end of the day, right? Like, is this for you to just get paid, or is it something you love? Because I know that there's a way that you can create content and use the content for all various platforms, and just market across. So if you create reels for Instagram, you can also use the same reel for your TikTok and the same reel for your Pinterest. So if you have the bandwidth, you know, the mental and emotional bandwidth to utilize all the different platforms, I would say be consistent on all of them.
Yeah.
But if you just have to choose one because you just don't have time, Instagram has been tried and true for me. Yeah. And I know that there's still the lifespan of Instagram as a platform probably has some years on it, you know, and it's only going to advance as time goes on. We've seen the platform change since 2012, right? Instagram at first was a platform where you just posted your breakfast. You wanted people to know that you were hanging out with this person, you know, and then all of a sudden people are getting paid to live their lives.
Yeah.
And now you see it being targeted towards like businesses, and I don't know, now that it's owned by Metaverse or Facebook, we don't know what is next, right? And it just requires you to stay on your toes and just, you know, be aware of what is happening around you. So once again, Instagram, just because that's the one that I've seen brands pay money for.
Yeah. And my last question is, because a lot of people don't know, and I see there's a lot of talk about like content creators and like how do they afford the lifestyle that they have and stuff like that. Like, is it a real job? Do they even have a real job? And this and the third. But we don't need to go into like digits or like numbers or anything like that. But do content creators get paid? Like, is this like a real fleshed out business? Like, is this a real thing?
It's a business, you know, and I think that also my short-sightedness, because I spent a lot of time with people who didn't think influencers made money, or also didn't see the value in influencers. It made me see it like a hobby, right? Like, some people just think, oh, you're taking pictures, right? And you're getting likes for being pretty or whatever the case may be. But you're an agency. Literally, in one person, you are an agency, a creative agency. And once you kind of like change your perspective and the lens from which you like see things through, it helps you like understand that, hey, influencers, this is a business. It's really a business. And you can also, you know, transfer your growth to other things to sort of build legacy.
Yeah.
Right? So down the line, if fragrance is something that Rachael really loves, and we've seen this over and over again. We've heard her talk about fragrances, and Rachael decides, I want to launch my own line of fragrances.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And people also, because you've built the audience as well, people also will be willing to support you. And that is how you build your legacy, but you also build a business and carry this from just being, you know, a platform where you support other brands to building something for yourself.
Yeah.
And yes, influencers make a ton of money, right? Like, because now brands understand our value. Now brands understand that, you know, they're not just coming to somebody to shoot and push a button.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming to me because you know that I can get at least 10% of my following to even look at your product and consider it,
yeah.
right? I may not buy it now, but later on, because like you said the other day, because I remembered that, oh, this person had this jacket, I pinned it, and now that I have the money to afford it, I want to buy it, right? You're also paying for real estate in people's minds. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's
very lucrative business.
It is. It really is. And if it's something that you are passionate about, I really think that, you know, give it a shot and do it with all your heart. Don't be half in, half out. I had a friend who, she had a 9-to-5 business and she was still doing her content creator stuff full time. But when you're, I understand wanting to like balance your lifestyle. I understand wanting to afford things. I would understand wanting to keep the lights on in your house, right? From my story is different because I had to save money over time to get to where I am today, right? Like, I slept on people's couches because I knew what it meant for me to eventually get here.
Yeah.
When I made money, I invested that money back into my business, whether I was traveling, you know, or investing in a piece that, okay, if I wear this, it might connect me with the right brands or the people that I eventually want to work with.
Yeah.
It's all strategy at the end of the day, and positioning yourself to eventually get to the point where a brand can come to you and you can ask them for $40,000 and they'll say, yes, take it, because you've built that. Like, they've tested it, they've seen it, it's proven, it's true, and now they're willing to spend your money because they see that you're someone that has something to offer them.
Yeah.
You know, even outside of the pictures, and what people don't know is, you always think, oh, I have to take pictures and post. Sometimes brands just pay you to take pictures for their platform. And, you know, once again, we're talking about this the other day, usage rights, that's money. You know, I'm literally taking pictures that you want to own. So you charge them for that. You charge them either per month of them using your images, or you charge them if they want to use it in perpetuity. Like, that's where you make your money. So it's a business, and it's important to like understand literally every aspect of it, just so you don't end up cheating yourself.
Yeah.
You know, and it's good to also ask people questions, right? Like, if you feel like, okay, I'm at that point where people are reaching out to me, maybe I just need to gain a little bit more knowledge from someone who's been doing this for a long time. Don't hesitate to ask someone who's been in the business, like, hey, you know, how much should you charge for usage? And that's why it's good to have friends. I always ask my friends questions like, hey, listen, and I was telling Rachael the other day, for the longest time, listen, here's a free tip, okay? Pretend to be your own manager.
Yeah.
Right? Because when people come to you they come to you thinking this person is extremely naive. They don't know what they're talking about. And they just don't understand what they bring to the table. So we're going to offer them $3,000. And of course, they're silly, they're young, so $3,000 is a lot of money. But the energy just shifts, right? The conversation shifts once you respond, "Hi, thank you for reaching out to work with Rachael Otto. We're so glad to work with you. And this campaign aligns with Rachel's vision for herself. Unfortunately, the budget you propose is too low for something, you know, for this SOW. SOW is the statement of work. For one picture, Rachael charges X amount of dollars. For stories, she charges this much. However, we will be happy to find find a happy medium.
Yeah.
And we'll see where it goes. Best Apuela." make up a name. And once you do that, it's a psychological thing. Then you're like, "Oh wow, okay. Thank you for reaching out to work with us." Blah 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 blah. And it just changed. It changes because now people just feel like, "Oh wow, they have a manager." So automatically there's that reverence, there's that respect for you as a content creator because they feel like they're talking to someone else to get to you.
Yeah.
Right? So
that's a free gem, guys. When she said that to me, I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, it just changed, like you said, the psychology of the whole conversation, like the approach. Like, before they thought, okay, we're actually like doing her favor, now it's the other way around. No, you're approaching a person who creates serious content and has, you know, management or whatever behind her who believes in her also. So believe in yourself first, guys. Do what you need to do to get that content, that work, that brand deal done as well. So guys,
that's it. And I just want to say, I'm so proud of you. No, I'm really, really proud of Rachael. And it's so nice. From her being here, it's also motivated me because I see how committed. I think that is what's going to, outlast anything that you would ever do. Because sometimes you get to a point where you don't feel like creating, right? You get to a point where you just feel tired because you're not seeing the results. But truly, you just have to be committed to the process. And that's one of the things that I see in you. You love it. You're committed to the journey. And I know for a fact, mark my words, it's going to pay off. It's only a matter of time. So
yeah, honestly, my little tip from what I've learned so far in my little time being a content creator is consistency, and genuinely love it. Like love and consistency. It's not enough to love it. You have to want to go through the fire and, like you've been saying, be proved at the end of it. Like, so being consistent. I don't know how many people are going to watch this. Maybe one person, they might find it interesting, and that's okay. And it's being happy with that. Whether one person watches it or million.
Exactly.
So consistency is like the key thing for me.
If you thank God for his finger, you see his hand.
So thank you for coming on my channel today. The conversation has been truly edifying, truly amazing. It's been like such a wealth of knowledge. I've learned a lot of things. So I know you guys have definitely learned. Even if you're not interested in being in this world, I'm sure you've learned now the true value. I think ultimately we've learned the value of a content creator. I've learned that as well. So even going forward, I'm going to take that knowledge with me. Like, I'm valuable. I'm not just someone taking pictures. No, my knowledge, my audience, I bring so much to the table. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Remember to subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Like this video so it gets out there to more people. Comment and share this video if you genuinely found it helpful. Share it to your friend who's interested in being a content creator. Just share the video. So thank you guys for watching. And
subscribe to Rachael.
Yes, subscribe. I'm going to put our Instagram handles at the top as well. Follow us on Instagram. And I will see you in my next video. Bye,
Thank you for tuning in.